It's been a long journey, but finally we're on the last part of the front wings. Well, for now at least anyway. The channel is, after all, called Nearly Finished, so you wouldn't expect me to be any further along than nearly finished. What it does mean though, is with this out of the way, we can get on to fixing a lot of the other issues that are still with the car, but I think we'll move the whole project further forward quite quickly. What you can see me doing here is the usual round of grinding, filling and more grinding, but this time it's for the final fit and finish to make sure that the wings connect up to the bonnet and the front grille properly. Normally, between opening panels such as the bonnets or the doors, I aim for around 3mm of clearance. This gives you enough gap such that if you trap something like a coat in between the door and the body when you're shutting it, that it doesn't cause bodywork damage. However, between the wings and the front grille, I'm aiming for a gap of around 1mm to allow for the later thickness of paint when we apply it. Next, I'm applying fiberglass paste between the light pods and the body. Whilst the light pods are already bonded to the car, I wanted to make sure that the join would not crack later on. I then do the same process on the final join between the wings and the grille. Before we get to the epic grinding montage, I also fiberglassed in this tab on the top of the wing so that I can bolt it to the chassis with a hidden fixing. Right, for one last time on this part of the project, cue the epic music.
Tell me how you sleep at night with all the things you've done. Maybe it's just gin and justifications. Tell me how you pray to gods whose hands are red with blood. As pretty as you are, it's pretty sad what you've become. Don't try to come and save my soul. Don't try to pray to bring me home. It's the last time you'll see me.
Sorry to interrupt the epic music, but you can see me here with sandpaper wrapped around a metal pole. It's very important to do this to ensure a uniform curve where the light pod meets the wing, and it's a very common mistake to try and form smooth curves with the sandpaper wrapped around your fingers.
How you do it. Maybe I could learn from you how to take the hate and ignorance and make it a virtue. You just make it look so easy.
You can see me here also applying a thin layer of fiberglass paste, as I actually discovered that the shape of the wing wasn't quite correct. I won't normally apply filler to a thickness of more than 1mm, and I think it needed about 1.5 to 2, so that's why I decided to use the fiberglass paste.
Don't try to pray to bring me home. It's the last time you'll see me. Last time to God. You're beautiful, you're sick inside, and I'm not like Joan of Arc without the flames, like Jesus Christ without the pain. Just come down off that cross, you're not the same.
Fuck.
Whilst I was making this video, I found this thing growing on the inside of my filler pot. The f*** is it? Anyway, on with the final part of the montage. With that lot out of the way, it was finally time to start bolting on some shiny bits. I think I've mentioned in a previous video that these are the same headlights as I've used on my AC Cobra replica. They're relatively cheap, but they're definitely in keeping with the style of the car that we're going for. They consist of a plastic bowl that you screw onto the car itself, remembering not, of course, to forget the rubber gasket that sits behind it. And I absolutely, definitely didn't forget to put it on the first time I assembled the lights. This plastic bowl is then followed by the actual light unit itself, which is held onto the car by the two adjustment screws that are used to set the light beam later on, and a third pivot screw that just keeps everything secure. Finally, there's a chrome trim that goes over the whole light fitting, and this is secured in with a final single self-tapping screw. And there we have it. I was really quite happy with those, so it was then time to move on to the indicators and sidelight. In keeping with the general British theme of the car, I decided that for the indicators and sidelights, we would go for those off an early Land Rover. Now these also are commonly used on Cobra replicas, but I'm not sure whether they're truly authentic for that purpose. However, in this case, I think they look perfectly acceptable for what we need here. So to install these, it was out with the laser level to ensure that they're exactly even both sides, and a hole saw. Unfortunately, I didn't have a hole saw of the exact 34mm diameter that I needed, but it was the work of a moment with a Dremel and a sanding flap disc to open up the holes to the exactly correct size that we needed. And with that done, everything dropped exactly into place. So there we go. After 12 epic weeks of cutting, grinding and sanding, the front wings are done. Well, done enough for now. I'll need to revisit them later for final sanding and fitting, and possibly still add some spotlights or some front grills, but they'll certainly do for now. The question is, of course, what are we going to do next?
Now what the f*** are we supposed to do? It's game over, man. It's game over. What the f*** are we gonna do now? What are we gonna do?
Easy there, Corporal. With the wings out of the way, there's going to be a 1 week gap where I work on a side project, and that is trying to get my 6-litre Jaguar XJ-RS to run properly. This is a problem that's been annoying me for quite some time. The car itself had a recent complete engine rebuild, but it just doesn't run properly afterwards. And I think the issue is to do with either the injectors or the fuel system itself. So, for 1 week only, you're going to see me and a friend of mine swearing at it until it works properly. After that, we'll be back to this project car again. And I think the first thing that I'll do is make a video where I take you through all the bits of the car that we're still yet to finish. And then, from there, we can decide what bit to do first. So that's it for the first part of this project car project. If you've got this far, but haven't subscribed yet, it would be really, really helpful if you could. It really helps the channel grow and keeps me motivated to make more videos.